Well, hello everybody. If you see the mug, it's a nice gift that someone gave me. Pastor, warning: anything you say or do could be used in a sermon. So today's ramblings that I'm going to go on, I'm actually going to have an interview after this that I attached where I was talking to my cousin Josh, and he is a youth pastor in Michigan, and more of his story will be told there. But there's an interesting thing. Just drinking coffee actually reminds me of my cousin Josh. I remember, drank coffee at a younger age than me. I didn't drink coffee until I got to college, and so it just cracks me up just thinking about how life works and moves and changes. And so here's a nod to Josh, and I think about his coffee. Think about just growing up, how we view our cousins, how we view our friends, and different life experiences. It's just sort of wild. So I am gonna be doing a wedding for a couple in May. Excited to do that. Haven't done a wedding in a little bit. Inside of all the transitioning from one church to the next, some of the pastoral experiences that I enjoyed a lot, or at least had, of doing weddings and funerals and other things, are slowly rebuilding now that I'm in this new location. So I haven't done either of those in a while, so it's just sort of neat and interesting. But in that conversation with the couple, just thinking back to, I asked questions about like your friends and your family. What are, you know, how many of them have been married? How many of them have kids? What's their relationships like? Just those things that you think about and look at. And it's so crazy growing up and thinking about when you were a kid. What did you think your life would be like? What did you think your cousin's life would be like? What did you think was normal that now as an adult you're like, let's have a different normal. So I remember telling my family growing up, my cousins and everyone, I wanted 5 kids. I wanted enough to have a full basketball team. And my cousin Jen, I remember after the first kid that I had, she's like, "Do you still want to have 5 kids now?" So just amusing little things like that whenever you grow up. And the um, the couple that I'm doing their wedding, uh, the um, the future bride, she's a second of 3 kids, and I just was like, oh my goodness, imagining my second born who is 7. I'm like, someday she'll be married, and just those sort of like crazy moments where just as an adult, you see your kids and you think about you as a kid and think forward. But no, in my interview with Josh, it's pretty neat. Just talking to him on his life journey of where God put him in different things like that. I can't remember if it's the first or the second. So we actually had 2 interviews because Zoom, neither of us can afford to buy the full Zoom package. We're both using the free, and our recording is on that, and we didn't have the microphone set up in a way that there's no reverb and everything else like that. But we his dad was a mechanic, and I think I've told this story before, but I'll retell it because it's one of those just super interesting things. So I had a 99 or 2000. I always get it mixed up because I bought it super cheap in seminary after my minivan blew up the first day driving to school. I actually biked to and from school the next few days, and then I bought a truck off of a guy, and it was a Ford Ranger XLT, and that little Ford Ranger, I can't remember why, but it was just sort of like, have I changed the fuel filter on it? Because I guess it might have had enough miles, or was an old enough vehicle. I was like, I need to do this. And with that fuel filter, I couldn't change it. Like I remember buying the very specific tools, and like I just couldn't do it. Like it was so just stuck. And if you've never changed a fuel filter, you're missing out. But just I grabbed it, and I'm trying to detach it from the fuel line to put the new one on, and I'm like, man, it won't work. So my uncle Lauren was, he wasn't that far away, and I was like, hey, can you help me change this? And him being a good uncle, he said yes, but you could tell he's sort of like, oh man, like, come on, this is routine maintenance. Like anybody should be able to do it. So I drove over to his house, and he starts messing with it just a little bit, and he's like, like, you just got to cut the fuel line on this. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm not going to cut any fuel lines to change a fuel filter and re-put it on. And so it cracks me up thinking about how, but just, like, the story about mechanics, when Josh and I were talking, makes me think about how just Bible study and studying any sort of, I guess, item in the world, where there are people who are professionals who know how to do something, they know something, they've studied, they know the inner workings and everything else like that. And so for them to do it, they can do it quicker because they have an experienced background on it, versus someone who is inexperienced. And like my Uncle Lauren wanted me to be able to do it, like, and so he had experience to do it quickly, but he wasn't going to have me cut a fuel line to change it. But those little things where, when you have experience, do you view someone without experience from a sympathetic standpoint, or do you view it through the lens of, well, I have all this experience, how can you not do it? And it's just, there's irony to it, where I know because I'm not an engineer or dexterous, people assume that I'm not able to do some things, and I don't claim to be able to do a lot of things. But whenever I encounter people who are afraid to speak publicly or read publicly, like do anything in front of people, I usually try to encourage them and say, like, hey, look, like, I mean, I realized this week I've probably preached 1,000 times in my life. And I just tell people, like, I still get scared, I still get nervous, I still mess up, and it shouldn't be something where someone who has experience looks down on someone who doesn't have experience, but rather, through our experience, we should encourage people and lift them up. So Josh and I got to our roles as being youth pastors through very different routes, and I'm super excited for him. Glad to see him in his role. It sounds like he's thriving, and I'm really happy for him. One of the things that I want to point out with his story that I think is super important in a lot of churches is there's a group of people that are leading together and are in a strong relationship together, who talk and who work together, and it's really healthy whenever there's a multitude of leaders working together for something. Many minds helps, as well as just that counsel. But tonight and tomorrow at the church that I'm at is we are hosting. We are the host site for the local troop to do their Pinewood Derby, and just one of those little just memory thinking back things. So in Awana, we had the Pinewood Derby, and I know it's called like a different thing and different troops versus Awana versus Scout, so I might be calling it the wrong thing for whichever, but the Pinewood Derby. We take a block of wood, make it into a car, and there's a standard set of wheels and axles that everyone gets, and you make it. So it was really cool looking at it. It's an aluminum track where there's electronic gate is dropped and electronic timing. I don't think we had as fancy of setup the ones that I grew up with, but I remember the Cressman family would always win. They knew how to design their car for speed, and I remember also whenever we were there would be a time when everyone would bring their cars, and we'd help make sure everyone had the proper weight for their little car. And I remember the conversation about the physics of, should the weight be in the front of the car or the back of the car? And so I'm still not sure which is more important, because there's something about, like, is the weight pulling or is the weight pushing? And it matters somehow, but I'm not really sure. But there's a difference between cars designed for speed and cars designed to look cool, and we'll see how that goes. But anyhow, I'm going to sign off. It's going to be much shorter. Hopefully you listen to David and I's sermon deep dives. We're really enjoying that. We're really enjoying diving deep into the book of Acts. There's a lot of cool history that's going on, as well as church theology and other stuff like that. But then also enjoy the interview that I have with Josh. It's going to be a two-part thing. We're still working on the full logistics of doing part 1 and part 2, because part 1 was my Zoom, part 2 was his Zoom, and so we're working out some of the bugs on the sound quality. And just remember, if it sounds bad, blame it on me. If it sounds good, give Josh credit. So hope you all have a great week, and enjoy the rest of your day.